What's up, guys? Today we're going to be converting a 2007 CRF450R dirt bike into a street-legal supermoto. Most of this work has already been done off camera. I didn't think about turning it on until I was already done with the teardown, and I also installed some components. If you have any questions, please just leave a comment below and I can explain how it was done. So these right here are some Warp 9 Elite Supermoto wheels. We got a 3.5 front and a 5-inch rear. We have a 120 Conti Attack Supermoto tire on the front and a 160 Conti Attack Supermoto tire on the rear. We also have some Lightspeed carbon fiber fork guards, lower fork guards, and we're also sitting on a Warp 9 320 millimeter brake rotor. We got a stock Nissan brake caliper, which I don't know how that's going to work out so far, but you know what? If it doesn't work, then we'll upgrade it. Never need much of an excuse to upgrade, right? We have some Duval racing suspension that was built by LTR. Really excited to see how plush these are once we get going on the road. And then we also have some carbon fiber fork guards and stuff like that we're going to install at a later time. And then I went ahead and installed the Trail Tech Vapor speedometer, which I can also go through and explain how that process is done if it's necessary. We also have our banjo bolt pressure switches on front and rear for the brake lights. Where is it at there? So this wire right back here. We also have our carbon fiber boot guards. It also guards the rear brake master cylinder. And then we got ourselves a new chain there. And then we also have a new sprocket. I went ahead and went with a 44 tooth rear sprocket from what I a 45, as you can see stamped right there. And we also have a chain block that we'll be installing. I'm still trying to figure out if I should do it on the top or the bottom. This right here would keep your chain from impacting your tire around corners or if there's any chain slop. Or you can also put it up here. That's not the correct orientation, but whatever, you get the idea. Anyways, I look forward to building this project with you guys, and please let me know if you have any comments, concerns, questions, or any feedback. I'd love to hear from you. I also went ahead and installed the kickstand from Titan. I cut about an inch off the end of it. I'm going to be cutting another ½ inch off the end so it can give it a little bit more tilt so it's more stable. I went ahead and took my stator cover off. I replaced the stator with a Trail Tech 40 DC stator, so then my electrical system here can support having all the lights and all of that. I still have a lot of wiring to do. I can explain all this later. I installed my rectifier over here. They say install it as high as you can to avoid hitting the gas tank. It's a little tight, but the gas tank fits in here. And yeah, so let's get started. All right, so first we are going to take these carbon fiber lower fork guards off, and we're going to go ahead and trim them to give us a little bit more room between the tire and the guard. As you can also see here, my speedometer sensor right here is pretty close to the magnetic bolt that comes with the kit. I put it that close, but you got to just make sure that bolt passes underneath of it. You don't want it passing towards the side of it, because if that happens, you can get a double reading, which will cause big problems later on. So, we got pretty tight tolerances that we're working with here, but I think this is going to work just fine. So we're going to go ahead and take these forks off, and then I'm going to show you how to cut them. All right, we got our fork guards off and we're ready to cut them. First things first, you've got to make sure you have your safety glasses. Put those puppies on. And since we're cutting carbon fiber, this stuff is worse than fiberglass when it comes to giving you the itch and the stickers afterwards. So we're going to go ahead and protect our hands with some gloves. Put these bad boys on. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and do the left side fork guard. As you can see, my speed sensor right here, I have a quick disconnect on it, so you're able to take the fork guard off with the speed sensor without having to cut the wire or remove the entire length of wire off of the fork leg. And today we're going to be using a Dremel diamond bit cutting tool attached to the little extendo pen dealing with bobber here. And it's important when you're cutting carbon fiber, fiberglass, or any kind of a fibrous material, you want to make sure that you wear a respirator. So let's get started. All right, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and remove our tape. Take any little scraps and throw them away so we don't get punctured or cut. All right, so our edge is a little bit rough there. I don't know if you're able to see it, but we're going to go ahead and file that down. It came out all right. We're still going to file it though. Okay, now when you're filing carbon fiber, you want to make sure that you go in one direction, kind of with the grain, because you're trying to take the ends of it off. You don't want to go against the grain, otherwise it'll just cause it to fray. You don't want any sharp edges. All right, that looks pretty squared away. So we're going to call that one done. And this guy, I got a pretty good chunk sitting there. Don't want any chunks on your fork guards. So we're just going to keep on filing until that is gone. All right, that is looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. Sweet deal. All right, so these guys right here are ready to go back on the bike. Okay, now that we've wiped off the fork guards and we're ready to install them again. So Lightspeed provides you with the correct fasteners that you would need in order to mount these up. They're slightly different. They don't have the shelf on them like what the stock fasteners do. So we're going to go ahead and line up the holes here. Make sure that your line fits around there without rubbing against the guard or the tire too badly. And there's another thing about building a Supermoto is that a lot of people run their brake line around the outside of the fork to the caliper, so that reduces the chance of the wheel or the tire catching on it. Now, for right now, we're just going to go ahead and route it the stock direction and see how well that works out for us. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and mock this up really quick until we get everything fitted exactly where it's supposed to go. of getting this little inside screw right here. This thing's kind of a pain. You usually want to put that one on first. There we go. She's going. Alright, when it comes to carbon fiber, it's very rigid and it does not like to flex or give you any kind of a give. So if it wants to sit a little funky on your fork leg, like if it wants to sit too close to your tube, then you know, you can pull it away a little bit and then tighten the fasteners down. Or, you know, in this situation, we're just going to go ahead and push it up right there so we have adequate gap and it's not touching the tire. So you can see cutting that provided us with a lot more clearance. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this bad boy down. We're using a 8mm socket on a handle here. And then we also have an 8mm combo wrench. Okay, so you want to slowly move it around to make sure your speed sensor isn't impacting any of the fasteners on here. Yep, there it is right there. I don't know if you can see that, but this right here is your magnetic bolt. Just barely passes under there. All of our clearances are good. Okay, let's see if we can fish our speedometer wire out from behind the fork guard here. There we go. As you can see, my breath is fogging up my fork right there. Go ahead and plug that bad boy in and tuck that out of the way. And we still have our cable fasteners up here. Okay, we're just going to snug things up because we want to make sure nothing is going to impact or cause any kind of a problem. So I'm a little concerned about this plug right here being right where it's at. I don't know if you can see that very well, but if the suspension tube comes all the way down to here and then pushes this while the wheel's rotating, it could push it into the brake rotor. So that might be a situation we're going to have to address at a later time. But for right now, let's just get this stuff on and get it all done. All right, there's that side. Go ahead and spin her. Oh yeah, looking good. Okay, so this guy, it's going to be the same, minus the speed sensor and all of the trials and tribulations of getting that wire out of the way. Get that inside fastener all buttoned in. And then we work on our outside fasteners. Alright. So, as you can see, this one wants to naturally hang right on the fork tube. But we're going to try making it to be equal distance over here. So we're going to go ahead and tighten one of these fasteners down right here. Tighten down our inside one. There we go. And then, last but not least, get the rear. And that way, we have an adequate gap, so then the fork tube can travel between it. Now this guy right here, I'm not going to put a hole shot device on this bike because it's going to be a street legal Supermoto. And I don't really have a use for a hole shot device. So I'm going to get rid of it. It's kind of chowdered up, plus it's not going to pass in between here and the fork tube. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this puppy off. I would like to avoid taking my triple clamp apart and just taking this one fork leg to get this piece of shit off. So I'm going to cut it. Let's see, what do we got here? What do we got for cutting? Could use a Dremel. Yeah, you know what? Dremel's already hooked up. Let's go ahead and use this bad boy. Got cats and dogs running around everywhere. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it right here. Let's get some trash. There we go. So I cut it just enough to hopefully bend it. Yep, there we go. It's bent and broken. And there you have it. You have a hole shot device that is pretty old and chowdered up. And we managed to keep everything clean. You got some glue here from the stick-on fork tube protectors. All right. So that's looking pretty good. I mean, this one's got a little slight jog off to the tire here, but that's okay. This one right here had all these cables and everything in the way, so I wanted a little bit extra clearance over here. It follows all the way down. But I think that looks pretty good, and we're gonna go ahead and move on. We're gonna put on our carbon fiber tube protectors. So here we are. We have 2 carbon fiber fork tube protectors. If you look at those, it's pretty nice. I like these. These are really neat. Now, unfortunately, you got to find out where the grain goes. All right. So we're going to go ahead and slap this puppy on here. Now, these just clip on. There's no fasteners or anything like that. It's pretty easy. And my fork tubes are tapered. As you can see, it gets fatter as it goes down, but we're going to switch this to the other side because that doesn't look right. Ooh, snappy. There we go. That looks much better. I'd rather have the gap at the triple clamp because that's going to be showing more prominently than up here at the top. And the other side there. Okay, looks like that side we're on pretty good. All right, now you want to make sure you have a gap in here, because then in case you want to adjust your forks up or down, then you would have some play. All right, that looks good. So let's do these. So these bad boys are, yeah, they're going in the same direction. That's good. Nothing's worse than having carbon fiber weave going in opposite directions. Ooh, yeah, that looks good. All right, I'm just gonna flip over to the other side here. And there you are. So now we got our carbon fiber fork legs and our fork tube protectors and lower fork guards installed. We have our speedometer sensor installed, and I think that's going to be it for today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or recommendations, I would love to hear from you. And please feel free to drop a comment and subscribe if you would like to see more.